What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you for another week of picks here from every day we're covering. We're into week 9 here of the college football season. Hopefully have a good slate of games to enjoy. Of course, it's been kind of upset city here these last couple of weeks, so we'll see if we can get on track with our picks and get things rolling again here, SJ.
Yeah, unless we have one of those pegged, let's go ahead and not have too many of those upsets because that's that. Hey, it's inexact science. Do our best, but that's tough, man. That's real tough.
Yeah, we had a couple of those hurt us last week, but we'll see how it goes here this week. So we're going to get started. You've got a game at Friday night you're taking a peek at.
Yeah, I'm looking at that Boise State and Nevada matchup. I really wanted to get on Boise State. It was just a little too high, 20 plus point spread there. And Friday nights after dark, especially, we know some wacky stuff happens. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that total 50.5. Most of that coming from Boise. I expect them to win easy. I just don't know if they can cover that. That's a sizable number, especially with a common opponent or a common foe, excuse me.
Yeah, that's 9 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. So yeah, definitely they'll be burning the midnight oil for that one for on Friday if you want to stay up. Moving on to a Saturday, we got a few games here in the early slate. I'm going to start with one that's kind of interesting because we'll see how one team bounces back and how another continues to play. Memphis fell last week, one of those upsets that bit us. That my pick last week against UAB. They lost that game, but they did have an injury to their starting quarterback in the middle of that game. Now, they were already down 10 points, so it's not like you're saying, oh, that's the reason we lost. But I think it may be the reason now they lose again because they're playing a pretty good South Florida team here. The latest injury update was that he's day-to-day, which usually to me means he's not going to play. So South Florida's only laying 5, so it's less than a score. They've proven that they can beat good teams. You know, they started the year strong with those wins over Boise and Florida State. So I like them in that spot. I'm going to take South Florida to cover the 5.
Yeah, I obviously agree with you there. South Florida's just been much more proven, especially against better competition there. I'm going to go ahead and take a big number. I mentioned the game, previous game, UCLA and at Indiana. They're in also a early kick, 24.5. That's just too much to me. I know Indiana's been really, really good again. UCLA though has kind of found lightning in a bottle. It's going to probably end at some point. But I even if it does, which I would not be surprised, and I'm definitely wouldn't go as far as to say UCLA should win this. I mean, it's possible. I'm not willing to go that far, but I do think they can stay within 24.5. That's a hellacious spread I know it's not typical conference game, but it's still a conference game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But, of course, I think Indiana's probably, riding an overcompensation high here right now, too. They got a lot to prove still. And, yeah, UCLA team that, suddenly found something. So I don't think there's any reason to think that they're going to get blown out like that. So I don't know. Be interesting to see. That one's on Fox. The other one I mentioned is on ESPN2. Do have one other 11 o'clock game on our list, and that was another one of my picks. SMU is going to go on the road to take on Wake Forest. Wake Forest, just been there. They're nothing to talk about much on that schedule. SMU's got a couple of losses, but they've played some decent teams, and they're only laying 3 on the road. I think they're the much better team here in this matchup. They're coming off a nice win over Clemson at Clemson. So that's 11 o'clock on CW. I think the Mustangs can pull that one off.
Stay in the ACC there as well. And Pitt's kind of along those same lines as a team that's had some pretty quality wins there. I know there's some question about beating Florida State. Does that really mean too much these days? But hey, that's a game you weren't expected to win, and they've done it. And then they come back and pair that up with a pretty resounding win over Syracuse team that's been okay at times this year too. So they're hosting NC State. 6.5, not a huge number. I think this one could get away from them. Maybe if you want to go a little heavy, I'll probably go a little more on the confidence with this one. I just think they're a much better team and playing better at this time of year. So I think that could be a double-digit win there, if not a blowout, maybe by the third quarter.
Yeah, I like that one too. NC State has really struggled this year. 7:30 on ACC Network there for that one. Another one that's in the afternoon slot that I'm going to go to, and this is, I guess, the boring pick. I've been doing this year because I've been doing it with Ohio State. They don't play this week, so I got to find another one to lean on. I'm going to go with Alabama. They've suddenly turned it on. I think they're playing well. South Carolina is where they're going this week. they're struggling. They looked bad this past week against Oklahoma. 12 points, so it is, for an SEC game, that's a lot of points. I don't disagree. I have respect for South Carolina, what they do in that atmosphere there, but I think this Alabama team is just hitting at the right time here and playing well. I think they win by a couple of scores, so cover that 12 there. That's an ABC 2:30 kickoff.
Yeah, I'm right there in the same conference again on this one, SEC as well, A&M at LSU, and this one's probably talked about confidence the last one. I'm a little uneasy on this, but LSU, the questions were there all season, and they kind of been answered to the negative for them at least. Where are they really as good as their ranking and record indicated? And it's kind of showing that they probably weren't. But A&M is in these big. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, I think you could still call it a big spot. This is if they want to keep their big goals alive there. In these situations, they just haven't performed well. There's one of those teams, kind of like an Ole Miss we talked about last time, or other conferences. There's teams even like a Missouri where it's like you get to the top, and you're just not able to beat the big dog and sit on top of the mountain. So that makes me a little bit nervous on this one. But it's only 2.5. Win by a field goal, and that's not even that impressive against the LSU team that I think is kind of on a skid here and may end up having a bit of a disappointing season down the stretch. So I'll take A&M to cover that 2.5, but and not super confident. I mean, I think it's definitely on paper a pretty secure win. But I mean, these games are play out the way don't always play out the way we think, obviously. And then we've talked about just the amount of upsets in the last couple of weeks. This could be, that makes me a little nervous, but we'll give A&M a shot here. I haven't really played them too much lately, so they're not on the hit list just yet.
Yeah, I did look at that one too. I thought long and hard about it. The only thing that gives me a little bit of trepidation there is, of course, going to Death Valley to play. I mean, that's always tough, especially in a later kickoff there at 6:30. So you know how them Louisianans get a little rowdy. So, but yeah, that'll be a fun game to watch for sure. That one's also on ABC. My last pick is also in the night slate, 7:00 kickoff here. Arizona State is hosting Houston. Houston's been a little bit of an upstart in the Big 12. They've I think won more games to this point than most people expected them to, especially after a little bit of a slow start. But Arizona State found a little something last week. Nice win over Texas Tech in a comeback fashion. Granted, Tech wasn't playing with their starting original quarterback, but that roster is loaded with lots of talent. And Arizona State did get Sam Leavitt back, and he, of course, did some of what he does to bring to that team. So I think they're starting to hit maybe a little bit of their stride here again. And I think this Houston team hasn't played the competition yet, or proven that they can beat the competition to this level yet. So I think that's pretty safe to just cover less than a score. It's 6.5 for Arizona State. So I like that. If it gets a little higher, I'd get a little bit worried about going over a score. I saw that line hovering around 7 in some other locations. So I'd watch that. Maybe not my biggest confidence, kind of like you in the last one, but I still feel pretty good about Arizona State picking up that W. I did want to throw out one other little pick that I think that I was kind of peeking at here as far as an upset is concerned. If you want to go an upset special on the weekend, I'm going to stay in the Big 12. I just feel like at some point, it's not that I don't think that they're a good team and that they can't continue to win, but I think somebody's going to nip this Cincinnati team here at some point. And Baylor is on the road at Cincinnati this week, and Cincinnati's only a 3.5 point favorite. So I think that tells you something there right away. For a Baylor team that's been a little bit up and down, but their losses have come to pretty good teams. They lost to TCU. I think that they've got enough talent on that roster. I just feel like at some point somebody's going to snag Cincinnati. So if you're looking for an upset play this week, I might look at that one.
This would be a very mild upset, but Arkansas is a 2.5 point favorite, and that's basically just the home hometown discount against Auburn. I mean, neither of these very, very good teams at all, but I just think Auburn's been a little more competitive against who they've played as of late. Of course, Arkansas is going through the coaching change, and I guess we know who's going to be there, but still, it's a little bit of a mess at that. So that might be just a little bit get a little plus money there on a not too much of a long shot.
All right, that's what we're looking at here this week for you for week 9 of the college football season. Of course, if you have some plays or some thoughts, we'd love to interact with you. See the handles there at Cherokee CP, at SJM Bets. Follow us on Twitter. We'll put our picks up there for you, not only here in the video form, but in graphic form as well. and share our confidence levels on those. And we'd love you to have your feedback. We'd love it if you like, subscribe, share the podcast, available on all the major platforms. Just search Every Day We're Covering, and like, subscribe, get the notifications here on the YouTube channel so you can see these pick videos each and every week, and other sports as well throughout the year. So we hope you come along for the ride. Hope you have some fun watching some college football again here this weekend. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for another week of picks with us here on Every Day We're Covering. We'll see you next time for some more covers.